Hi, thanks for joining us for the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South. I'm Chris Cooper. Sweet potatoes are a southern staple. Today we're going to be planting them. Also, we're going to be talking about how to avoid injuring yourself in the garden. That's just ahead on the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South.
Production funding for the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South is provided by the WKNO Production Fund, the WKNO Endowment Fund, and by viewers like you. Thank you.
Welcome to the Family Plot. I'm Chris Cooper. Joining me today is Walter Battle. Walter's the UT County Director in Haywood County, and Andrea Jacobo will be joining us later. Hi, well, we're out in the Family Plot garden.
Yes.
Sweet potatoes.
Yes,
Man,
yes.
I love sweet potatoes, man.
Oh, yes, and I'll tell you, they are just a wonderful, wonderful plant, wonderful vegetable to eat. As a matter of fact, I even bought one along here. And this is really the size that you really would like to get them. You can really bake them.
Oh, yes.
At this size or whatever, and just a wonderful, wonderful vegetable for the garden. And, you know, a lot of times, Chris, people will say, well, sweet potatoes and yams.
Yeah,
and they're actually not the same.
So they are different.
They are different, but because the terms are just used so much, you know, interchangeably, what the USDA require that any time on a sweet potato product that's processed, that they put in parentheses yams beside it.
Wow, how about
because
that?
You know the terms get you know interchanged a lot. But I know today we're here to plant some,
Sure.
Obviously, and let me just say this: it's real simple. All you really need is some good till soil.
Okay.
What you want to do, you want to ridge the soil up at least 10 inches high.
Okay, wow.
And you want to make it about a foot wide. So using this good shovel here that they provide me, and you just, you know, real simple there, just turn that up and put it there. Let me get a little bit more here.
Okay.
And then notice that this way here has provided us, you know, about 10 inches high.
I got you, okay.
And then what we're going to do, and let me just set this shovel right here. We're going to now get our sweet potatoes. Now,
Which ones do you like?
This here is the Beauregard, but
Yes.
but let me tell you, the Beauregard and the Vardaman are the two varieties that you see a lot in the stores because they have a really good shelf life and all that the plant breeders have bred for. But you know, really good flavor, good taste. The Georgia Jet's very, very good. The Bunch Puerto Rico's a very good potato. And also for those who really like the old varieties, that old Centennial is a very good sweet potato. That's probably the one that we grew up with.
Yeah,
you know, but it is very, very susceptible to diseases. The Centennial is. Okay. And speaking of insects and things like that, whiteflies to me tend to be the biggest problem with the sweet potatoes. They do affect them pretty bad. And you can get into some issues of weed control. Yeah. But if you have grass, you can use, you know, post or something like that that'll clean up the grasses. Okay. But pretty much sweet potatoes pretty much take care of themselves. Now, I will warn you, deer will eat them. They really eat them. And obviously, if you live somewhere where they have wild hogs, they'll root them up too. But, you know,
how about that?
You know, hopefully you don't have any wild hogs running around.
Now, what about the wireworms?
Yes, you always want to plant sweet potatoes in ground that has been previously planted, and this is the garden plot here that's been previously planted. Yes. Otherwise, if you put it in turf grass that's never been planted before, you're gonna get wildworms. Yeah. So we always like to stress that. Now, in planting these, I will start right up here. Basically, again, you want your ridge to be about 10 inches high, and you want to be about a foot wide. And as you can see, that's about a foot wide there. I've done this so long, I don't need a ruler.
Good job.
And basically, all I do, I just get here and I just dig me a good piece of soil here. And I usually plant about 12 inches apart. And I just kind of heal these up. You know, and this, I mean, they're this is going to be some good potatoes here.
Okay.
I can just tell.
Does the soil type matter, or pH or anything like that?
pH probably around the 6. I would probably say 6.5, 6.6, something along that line, 6.7.
Okay.
So and they'll do fine. Let me just dig here using this family plot trowel here. Yes. See that? That's about 12 inches apart. And let me see, go another one here. And this allows for it to have proper drainage.
Sure.
You know, that's what this is really getting us right here. And I have 2 more to go.
And let me ask you about fertilizing. I mean, what would you recommend, or do they need to be fertilized?
I would put down maybe a 6-12-12 at planting. Let me do that.
Okay.
And I have 1 more to go here.
1 more. Okay.
And I would use a 6-12-12 at planting. Make sure that your lime is right. Obviously, get your soil test. And like you said, oh, that was a little leggy there. Let's just fix that one up.
Okay.
And there you go right there. Okay. And you should have some potatoes here probably, I believe about 100 days or so.
Oh, okay.
You know,
okay.
You'll be digging. And, you know, hey, Thanksgiving, sweet potato pie.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, this is what you want right here. Candied yams.
Is there a way you can tell that they're ready?
Well, it's kind of a little bit trial and error.
Okay.
But what happens, the vines will die back.
Okay.
And that'll give you a good idea. And then you would just want to come out here at some point when you know they're about ready, maybe dig just by the side to kind of see how they look, and then you about know.
Okay. Now, do they have to be stored once we're ready for harvesting?
Yes, once I dig them, I leave the dirt on them.
Okay.
And I put them in milk cartons, you know, the old milk cartons. And I have one that sits up on the table that, you know, where air can circulate up under it. It's actually a big long piece of wire that I can set it on. And just let them sit there for about 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. They'll cure out good, and you'll have, you know, then you'll be ready to go with it.
You ready to go?
Yes.
Yeah, I like those sweet potatoes.
Oh, man, they're good. They're good.
All right, well, we appreciate the demonstration.
Well, yeah, thank you for having me here, and I can't wait to come back and get some of these.
Can't wait to see what's going to happen, all right? Thank you much.
Yes, sir. All righty.
When we talk about butterfly gardens, we're really talking about more than just butterflies. There's a lot of pollinator insects, bees, flies, little beetles that really love these plants. They come to the plants for nectar, which is a carbohydrate source, and they also come for the pollen, which is a source of protein. Now, lady beetles will come when they can't find aphids, they'll feed on protein to get them by. Anything in the carrot family, like this parsley here, they have flat umbel-like flowers, and they have little tiny blossoms that the little parasitoid bees and the hoverflies can feed on. So you look here, you'll see just could be dozens of little tiny insects. The parasitoid wasp are important because it gives them energy, that nectar, then they can go lay their eggs on caterpillars and do some biological control. The key to having a garden that's good for the bugs is have things blooming from early spring throughout the summer and into the fall, like asters in the fall. You want things that are going to attract all kinds of insects, and many of them are going to be beneficial or pollinators.
Andrea, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad to be back and in the sun.
In the sun. We're out in the family plot garden.
Yes.
So what are we going to talk about today?
So physical activity is something that's really important.
Okay.
Gardening is also something very important, as you can see, right?
Yes.
So what I want to do is talk about how gardening is a form of physical activity, but also how to protect yourself so you can garden throughout the rest of your life.
Good. I think that is so important.
Very important. And it's a lot of times when you hear, probably already, when people come to your office and they say, I threw out my back, I can't move too much, I was gardening too much. So I want to show you how to properly pick up things, heavy things, and as well as try to protect yourself while gardening.
All right, good stuff.
So here, what I have is a normal soil bag, right?
Okay.
So typically what you do, muscle pulls on bone. right?
Right.
So that when I say that is because you have to make sure that everything in your body is in alignment, so that when you're picking up the bag, you could use your full force.
Okay.
So what you do is you square the bag, you send your hips back, you go into a squat, and you grab the bag fully, and then you pick it up with your legs. That's all.
That's it.
That's it. And the same thing when you set it down.
Okay.
Just like so, right?
Yeah, and most of us, we just go down and just grab it.
Yeah, because you just grab it, right?
Yeah, exactly right.
And that's not ergonomically correct.
Right, okay.
Because, like I mentioned, muscle pulls on bone. And so when you have everything in alignment, you'll be able to do it without any problems.
How about that? Okay.
Yeah. And so what I have here too, I have
Okay.
my little blanket, right? My little extension blanket.
Okay, all right.
So you can use a blanket or a towel,
Okay.
whichever one you prefer. You can fold it in half or fold it into threes, like so, or into multiple fours, depending on what you have
Okay.
and what you like. So you can place it on the ground, and then you can bring your knees onto it, and then you can reach bending at the hip, holding, gardening, grabbing something, whatever
Right,
you
fine.
like.
Okay.
And then you travel around either a raised bed or wherever you're gardening, and it helps protect the knees as well as maintain the back. Yeah.
Because that back is so important.
Very
for
important.
gardeners, God.
When I was training before, a lot of my clients that were elderly would throw out their backs because of their gardening.
Wow.
Not because they were, doing a fast movement or catching a sprint. It's because
gardening.
it's through gardening. So this was one way that I thought it would be very beneficial for the listeners to know how to really pick up everything just in a good form. Now I see you have a shovel.
Yeah.
So with shoveling, what are you right-handed or left-handed?
I'm right-handed.
Okay, so the same thing, you're gonna want to do opposite to your dominant. So you're
Okay.
gonna have your left foot forward. Now you can either use the legs to fully bend at the knee and then pick up what you're needing to pick up and use your legs as well. Same thing, you can use the right leg, bring your foot down, whatever you're trying to do with your shovel.
Okay.
That's one of the things that you could do. Like I mentioned, muscle pulls on bone.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that everything's in alignment. So the knees are over the ankle.
Over the ankle.
Yeah, and the foot is right behind you, so it has that added support. So you can bend at the knee, and then you can pick it up.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
Andrea. Okay.
So now, the most important part,
All right.
when you're finishing
Most
gardening,
important part? More
most
important than all of this?
important
Okay.
part is that you need to stretch after.
All right, we got it. Yeah.
So there's a couple exercises that you could do.
Okay.
You can either just do a forward bend to touch your toes,
All right.
or come back up, flex the foot, and then reach down, bending the knee, the other knee, and slightly touching your toes so it can go straight into the hamstring and the quad and the calves. Now, also depending on what you feel, so what you did the most, you can also do a quad, quadricep, which is your front part of your leg.
Right.
So you grab one hand, grab the ankle, and pull it towards you. Now, this is also balancing.
Yeah.
I have a trick for you.
Okay.
So, if you're wobbling, hold your opposite ear. Your balance your balance is in your ear, so you can hold yourself up, just like so.
Oh.
Then you bring it down and do the other side.
That's something.
And then you just hold your ear, and then bring it back down. Wow. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. That's how you prevent injuries.
Okay.
By stretching, making sure you're picking up things in the correct manner, and then also having a trusty blanket or a towel to help you with your raised beds or whenever you're low to the ground.
Okay. Let me ask you about this. What about those of us who have wheelbarrows and we have, soil in the wheelbarrow? What's the proper way to move
Same thing.
Okay.
Same thing. Also, making sure that your weight is on your heels, you bend back, hold the wheelbarrow, I'm imagining a wheelbarrow, and then you just pick up from your legs, and then you walk forward.
Okay.
Same thing. That prepares the body to know that it's going to move in a forward direction, so that all your muscles are activated as you're pushing the wheelbarrow.
Okay. Are there any exercises for folks that use pruners a lot that you could think of for your hands?
Yes.
Okay.
So when when you finish pruning, you can place your hands behind in front of you in a wall, and then slightly come down. It stretches out the forearm and the biceps, and also the hands.
The hands, okay.
There's muscles even to the fingertips. So you really have to. That's a great way to stretch.
Wow. So you can really get in some good gardening exercises.
Yes. Do you know how many calories you burn in an hour for gardening?
How many?
300.
300? Oh,
300 calories, a moderate activity. And it's because there's always higher bouts of intensity. So when you're picking up the wheelbarrow, when you're walking with a heavy bag of soil, that's higher intensity than actually just pruning, or you're just harvesting, whatever you're doing in the garden. There's always varied bouts of intensity. So that's very beneficial for our heart and for our muscles.
Wow, this is good stuff, because we don't think about this when we're out there gardening, do we?
No, we don't.
Especially when we're younger. We just think, oh, we just go down and just grab this and just walk off.
I know that I've been, one of the main things that I need for my kids, when I tell them what to do, they have to make sure they have maintained good form. That way, throughout their whole life, they can maintain that.
Andrea, good stuff. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm going to implement some of those into my own daily gardening activities.
Okay,
so I
let me
appreciate
know
that.
how it goes.
All right, we'll do that. Thank you much.
Thank you.
All right.
It's time to side dress the corn. You don't typically side dress corn when it gets about a foot tall, about knee high, a little less than knee high. We have some varying sizes here. Some of this corn's been more successful at grabbing fertilizer than the other. So we're going to try to equal things up a little bit. General rule of thumb on amount of side dress nitrogen, and nitrogen is the only element you need to apply in a side dress. We've already taken care of the phosphorus and potassium needs out here. Is 1 pound, 16 ounces of 3400 per 100 foot of row. We've calculated we have about 80 foot of row here, so 12.8 ounces split into 2 right here. I'm going to try to put a half out at a time, and 3400 goes a long way, so you want to be as even with your application as you can. If you put it out too heavy in some places, you can actually cause a burn. Now I'm going to apply the other half. I want the fertilizer to go on the ground, not on the plant, because it can actually burn the foliage if you get it on the foliage. Well, that should give us the nitrogen that we should need to make a good crop of sweet corn.
All right, here's our Q&A segment. Andrea, you jump in there with us. Do you have anything to say, all right?
All right, sounds
All
good.
right.
Thank you for having me.
Y'all ready? These are good questions.
Yeah.
Here's our first viewer email. What is the best way to get rid of moles in your lawn? That has got to be one of the top questions we get in Extension throughout the state.
Yes.
Walter,
yes.
how do we get rid of those moles?
Well, I really like to use harpoon traps.
Okay, all right.
That's one, good way to get, to get them.
Okay.
Now, also, if you have some dogs and some cats, will also dig them up and get them as well. I've also seen coyotes get them, but I don't know if you want coyotes in your yard. So, but I've seen that happen. Now, what they're after the grubs.
Yes.
That's off in there, and if you really just take a sharpshooter and just kind of lift your soil up a little bit, you'll see those grubs laying there. Now, some people will say use granular 7, to kill the grubs. The only problem I don't like doing that is because you're also going to kill earthworms.
Right, and earthworms are part of the diet for the moles.
For the moles
yeah,
as
you can
well.
get rid of the grubs, but the earthworms are still there. Guess what? They're still going to eat.
Yes.
Right.
I've heard people talk about the chewing gum.
I have too.
That's nothing to that. I've heard people talk about pouring ammonia down off in the holes. I don't know if I want to do that or not.
Castor bean.
Yes,
castor
I've
oil.
heard all that. But really, if you ever have a dog or cat that'll dig them up and get them, that's a good route to get them.
Or they're pretty active first thing in the morning.
Yes.
So if you can get behind them with a sharpshooter or a shovel,
yes.
you can flick them out the ground.
Oh, yes.
You can do that route.
Yeah, you can go that route.
You can go that route.
Humanely?
Yeah. You have to figure out what you're going to do with them.
Right.
Once you flick it out. But we get this question so often about the moles, and they can be a problem.
They can be a big
They can
problem.
be a problem. They're just tunneling through, just trying to find food, of course. And another reason why I think we're seeing them so much now is because the ground is so moist and saturated. So it's easy for them to swim through the soil, if you will.
Yes.
So I think that's why you see so many of the runs or tunnels, if you will, because it's just been so wet.
Yes.
The ground is so moist, so saturated, and it's easy again for them to get through that soil because it's been moist and saturated. Good luck with those molds, Kevin. Thank you for the question. All right, here's our next viewer email. I found a cross vine growing in my George Tabor azalea. It is very beautiful. Will it hurt my azaleas if I leave it? And this is Miss Elsie in Millington. That cross vine is a beautiful vine, as you can see growing there.
Yes, that is pretty.
Will grow like crazy.
Yes.
Right? Likes full sun, can grow in partial shade. Azaleas like partial shade. Right? It can cover up those azaleas if you're not careful. So here's my question, Ms. Elsie. What do you want? Which one do you want?
Yeah.
Do you want the cross vine? Do you want the azaleas? Right? Because there's going to be competition there eventually. Right? So you have to make a decision. It's a beautiful vine, but you have beautiful azaleas.
Let me ask this question. Do they both like acidic soils?
Cross vines can.
I know the
azaleas for sure. Cross vines, yes, can actually deal with it. Yes. And obviously from the picture, it looks good, so it's growing pretty well.
Yes,
it's growing pretty well. But that would be my only question.
Okay.
You know, Miss Elsie, you know, which one do you want? You can have. If you want both, that's fine. Right. It's your landscape. That's fine. But do know, very aggressive growers.
Yes.
Right. And it will take over. It's beautiful. Okay. Here's our next viewer email. How do you get rid of monkey grass? This is Andrew right here in Memphis. The old Arabi, right?
Yes.
How would you get rid of?
First, it's going to take about, I don't know the situation, but it's going to take about 2 to 3 years to get rid of it. But what I would do, I would go out and dig it up.
Okay.
And then as you see those little shoots or whatever that's left.
Little rhizomes?
Yes, you just have to hit it with something that contains glyphosate.
Okay.
And just know that it's going to be a battle for about 2 years, about 2-3 years. But eventually you'll win that war.
Right.
You'll eventually win it. But it's just going to take some time to get it. But definitely dig out the ones that obviously that you see, those big clumps. Just go on and dig them up, get them out of there.
Right. Yeah, that's good. And I can tell you what I've done, Andrew, from experience. Right.
Okay.
So we're actually trying to remove some larabi, monkey grass. We cut it back. Weed eat a lawnmower. Allow it to regrow, resprout. Young green tissue.
Yes.
We sprayed it with the product that contained glyphosate. Right. Started to knock it out, a little bit. But then this was during the summer. We actually covered it with black plastic.
Okay. Yep.
Got real hot under there.
Yep.
Right. So it really, knocked it back.
Yes.
And then later on that summer, we started digging it out.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So we cut it, sprayed it, covered it with black plastic.
Yeah.
This was in the summertime. It was real hot.
Yeah.
Right. Knocked it back considerably, and then we dug out what we could. Now you got to get all of that root system out.
It's
right?
it's a little bit of a
Because if
job.
not, it will come back with a vengeance.
Yes.
It's like,
Yeah, you tick it off.
back. Right. So you got to be careful with that. But that's what you said is fine. And this is from personal experience, and it did work. But it will take some time. You don't get all of those roots out of there. Good luck to you, Andrew. Good luck. All right. Hope that helps. Here's our next viewer email. We have a walnut tree, and there are worms in the nuts. What can we do to get rid of the worms and save our huge tree? It is over 50 years old, and we don't want to lose it. This is Sharon from Delano, Tennessee. Yes. So, worms, walnut tree. Okay, how do we get rid of those worms?
Well,
what are those worms?
Well, that's the first thing, and it would be some type of curculio.
Right, it's the black walnut curculio.
Yes,
right.
yes. So that's, and now how to get rid of it. Now, I know like a product like Dursban or Lorsban is labeled for it, but I don't know how a homeowner could spray it or whatever to, to take it out.
Right.
There's one little side note I want to say about black walnut trees.
Okay, sure.
They can produce walnuts for like 250 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's one of the few things that really, can last in a family for generations.
Wow.
Yes.
Literally.
Yeah, literally. So,
Wow.
but back to the point. Yes, it's that little curculio worm
Right.
that you mentioned. That's what it is. Now there's also another worm that probably larva, I should say,
Right.
that gets confused, and that is that husk fly.
Right.
But it doesn't get into the kernel.
Right.
That I know of, it doesn't. So like I said, that's what the worm is.
The curculio does.
Right, it gets
feed
to the kernel.
on the kernel itself, because the adult female would actually chew a hole in the husk.
That's right.
Right, as that fruit is starting to develop and lay her eggs. Of course, the eggs hatch. The larvae then start to feed on the kernel.
The kernel.
Right, which will cause it to drop, which is what we call June drop.
Yeah.
Right. So this usually happens between April and June, July. Right. So of course, when it drops, hits the ground, that larva is still feeding. Once it finishes feeding, it pupates into the ground.
Yes.
Comes back as an adult to go right back into the tree again.
Yeah.
It's tough to control,
Yeah.
because you mentioned a couple. Carbaryl is something
Yes.
that you, but again, as a homeowner, it's a 50-year-old tree.
Yes.
This tree is probably huge.
Yes.
So it'd be hard to get out there with a
trying to
trying to
spray.
spray.
That, so
It's
I
gonna be
wish
a
I had
tough-
better news for you.
Yeah, that's gonna be a tough one, Miss Sharon.
Yes.
But I mean, now you do know what it is. Maybe there's someone in the area that could help you with that. Maybe another farmer or something like that,
Right.
or that has one of these trucks that has this little
Right.
blower.
Yeah, they can blow it up
you
in
can
there
blow
or
it up through
something.
there like they have at the orchards and things like that.
Right.
But yeah, you have the decision to make. Whether you want to do it or not.
Right.
Right. Because this black walnut curculio can cause some problems.
Yes.
Sorry for the bad news, Miss Sharon. All right. So, Walt, Andrea, it's been fun. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for
All right.
having me.
It's been fun.
Remember, we love to hear from you. Send us an email or letter. The email address is questions@familyplotgarden.com. And the mailing address is Family Plot, 7151 Cherry Farms Road, Cordova, Tennessee, 38016. Or you can go online to familyplotgarden.com. That's all we have time for today. Need gardening advice? Go online to familyplotgarden.com. There are tons of videos from the show and links to extension publications from all over the country. Be sure to join us next week for the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South. Be safe.